All right, today's meal is hot honey salmon. And I've already figured out what I'm going to do about the hot honey part. So, my dog's giving my dad fits. So, today, I've also got new ways of dealing with my holding my phone. So I've got a holder here, and then I've got a holder over the stove. So we should have great view, and I shouldn't be like messing up the video. Yay! So anyway, I'm going to tip this down. See how nice that is? Okay, so of course, in order to have salmon, you must have salmon. I do not know what this is. Hang on, let me find out. Sweet basil, citrus, and garlic rub. And that's the rub. Cherry tomatoes, green onions that are not zombies, zucchini, honey, of course you can't have hot honey without honey, butter, and the ubiquitous red pepper flakes, which we will not be using. So, to get going with this, I'm going to read my directions right here. First, I'm going to preheat my oven to 400 and set the butter on the counter to soften. Prepare a baking sheet with foil and cooking spray, and the green onions will be used more than once. So let us get that part done, shall we? Yay! All right, so there's my pan. There's my spray. My oven is on. So now, what we're going to do is cut up our zucchini. So, all right, so I'm cutting the ends off of my zucchini. And now I'm supposed to cut the zucchini in half. And cut the zucchini halves at an angle. So that they are like that. Okay? I'll be back. And there's our zucchini. Now it says to half the tomatoes. So let's get halving. Now some of you have probably noticed, or maybe not, that I didn't make anything last night. This is because I'm in the process of spring cleaning, which means deep cleaning. Not just cleaning, but like take everything out of the cupboards and scrub everything down with bleach and all the corners and everything. That one's bad. And that one feels kind of bad too. So, and, you know, get it done. But this takes time. You don't do a deep cleaning quickly. At least I don't. My mother probably could have, but no, I doubt she could have even, because she's much more OCD about it. All right, so then we trim the onions. Now, last time I had itty bitty little onions. This time I have this fat guy, but what their recipe calls for is a non-fat guy. So let me see what I can do about this. Okay, you remember me saying I was going to buy me some green onions? Well, I did. They're kind of pathetic looking, but they're thinner, so they should work better in this recipe than the fat guy that he gave me. Nothing against fat, just this isn't the appropriate place for him. So we're going to cut these up and make them do for what we need to do. So, cut the little ends off. Now, the reason I say that I needed non-fat guys is because it says to cut these guys into, like, how much do they say? Into about a 1-inch length. Well, with those, I'm going to end up with a big old fat piece. So with these, I at least have some onions with which to cook. I kind of think I'm going to cut those in half, because they just seem a little bit on the big side to me. There we go. Never be afraid to adjust your recipes to what you need. Now I'm to cut up these guys to be used for, well, the garnishment. All right, there we go. And put those guys in that bowl. Now, we're on to the salmon, so I'll be right back. All right, so I've patted my salmon down. And now I am to add a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. And fortunately for me, I have my pinches. And now, pinches are not necessarily needing to be done with a spoon, but I'm trying not to, I'm trying to keep social distancing from my condiments, but it may or may not work. All right, so now that I have done that, now I'm going to have to start cooking this. So let's move to the other place. As you can tell, you can see nicely now what's going on here. It's a little far away, but you know, you can see clearly. Unfortunately, my thing doesn't zoom on selfie, so oh well. But you get to see the the basics of the basic. All right, so I'm letting my pan heat over medium-high temp, and then I am going to put my fish in. After that, I will make, while it's cooking, I will make my hot honey. Now, you may be wondering, what am I going to substitute the red pepper flakes for? Well, according to my godson, you can use apple cider vinegar, and I think he also mentioned red wine vinegar. So we'll see which one I can work up here. Yeah, that feels hot. And swish that around. Swish this, swish this, swish this, swish this, swish this, swish it. And now, sometimes you just can't social distance. But what I can do is wash my hands while this cooks for, about 3 minutes. I'll be back. Okay, so I now will put my salmon over here. Hang on just a second, give me a moment. All right. I used the telescopic thing on my, there we go. Ooh, looks good. All right, now I am supposed to wipe this out and reserve. And this is going to go into the oven for about 7 minutes. So here we go. And while my fish is cooking, I'm just going to make my balsamic. Well, I put balsamic vinegar in this. And I'm going to make my hot honey. It may not be as hot as it should, but you know, well, this is constantly a learning process, so we will see. I gotta let the butter melt a little bit more. Meanwhile, let me cook my veggies. All right, so some olive oil. And now I shall add my zucchini. See if I can not throw it out of the pan. And give it about 5 minutes to cook before I add the tomatoes, the onions, and the spice pack. So, I'll be back. All right, my zucchini is now pretty brown. See? Now I add the tomatoes and the white portion of the onions. Stir this around a little bit. And cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes. All right, so 1/4 of a teaspoon salt, herbs, stir it in well, and turn off the heat. Some of them look like they got a little too warm, but okay. Okay, let's move to the other place again. All right, so fish, veggies, kind of sort of hot honey. First, let's get our fish. Then our veggies. There was a time when I would not eat zucchini at all. Now, I'm like, whatever. I'm cool with it. And now, let me see, where's my little spoon? There we go. And now, for our semi-hot honey. It's not going to sit on top like it does in the picture, but hey. And there you have it. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it does look like. Let's see now what it tastes like. Almost forgot my green onions. There we go. Wouldn't do to forget the garnishment. Let's eat. All right, so the verdict is somewhere between good and pretty good. I did actually overcook the zucchini, and I think their seasoning packet was a little too hot. Not hot, but salty. It was just a little too salty. But my hot honey and my salmon came out pretty good. So on that note, I will say good night, and I will see you in the morning. Or not in the morning, but tomorrow. Okay? Bye.